aggressive drive for internally generated revenue and streamlining what has to be taxed on. So I think it should be a puzzle for the government.
Now, I think basically this is where the government comes in on their part of policies, because policy is one thing that encourages or discourages you from going into a business in a particular location. So personally, it is not a good thing that most of the policies that are driving the economy today, most of the business owners or business executives do not know even these policies. So like Doctor said, even the policies that are being introduced, the government is even confused introducing those policies. So I think there should be a way of harmonizing. Let us create a balance. Let the government come out to say, okay, now, like for instance, the last time we discussed about taxation, increase in VAT and all those things. Now we are looking at, okay, government telling us that, okay, this is the reason behind this, introducing this and introducing that, removing this and removing that, so that anybody who is coming to start a business in this environment should be able to know that, okay, fine, beforehand I already know that these are the things that applies here, but not just portraying us as a place where you can do business, and when we're coming to do the business, there are policies that are quite so heavy on us to be able to comply with.
Thank you very much. In developed economies, when you have economic challenge, supposing in a country where you have recession, the country is experiencing recession, you see them investing more in training. Because training, they turn around the situation. But in Nigeria, a case of a recession rather makes them to cut their vote for training. What can we say about that? What premium do we place on training and retraining that helps to develop the capacity that drives investment?
Now, I don't want to take the blame completely out from the government. It was John F. Kennedy that said, don't think about what your government will do for, or what your country will do for you. Rather think for what you can do for your country. That single statement has changed the mindset of Americans for decades, and they have gone to imbibe with it. So if any particular process they want to do is capable of hurting one person, no matter how much is likely to yield, as long as the safety of one person is in jeopardy, we will suspend it. So one, let me come back to Nigeria. First, even if we have ease of access to credit, if I go to the market to access, say, 1 billion naira, for instance, to do a business, and then the Nigerians do not believe in my product, in no distant time, the business will still crash. So first of all, I don't know whether to call it indigenization or patriotism. We need to believe in what we produce. We need to believe in ourselves. The president, I think that was last week, had a meeting with Z Hyundai or something. Was these guys to establish a manufacturing plant in Nigeria. And people were asking, what happened to Innocent? Why not make this guy, why not encourage him? Why don't the government say, okay, for instance, doctor mentioned something. They closed the border to increase local production. Now the same rice that was going for 8,000 when we were allowing foreign rice to come here is now going for 22,000. What is the essence of the border closure if the local rice can now meet the same price of the foreign rice that was being imported before? The difference between this local rice and the price is now just maybe 5,000 or 4,000. So there's no essence of the border closure. So first of all, if we are going to, we need to appreciate what we have. It goes a whole long way with the government. everybody's a leader, I agree. But the level of influence I could have, if I want to change Nigeria, it may take me years and years. But if the current president is just a single broadcast and let's say 60% of Nigerians have access to what he's saying. So first of all, we need to believe in ourselves and in what we produce. You see, sometimes I see people want to construct maybe just a 10-meter road, and you are seeing white men everywhere with security. That's crazy. For what? Is it that we don't have local people who can construct? We just have this belief that if Oyibo man is involved, is original. You know, if you are wearing a shoe made in Italy and the one, even if that one made in Italy is fake, just because it's written made in Italy, you have a tendency of thinking that this is definitely original. So first of all, we need to start to appreciate what we have. Yes.
Now we talk about training. Let me tell you, I'm also I'm a teacher. It's very sad to say this, but are we really training people? Or are the people really willing to be trained? Take for example, this CBN said, before you get a loan, you should go for a training. And I know one of the government programs I'm supposed to train for them. Let me not mention so that the people there will not lose their rights. But you find the boys will come, they'll bring their form, please sign for me. Sign for me. After 2 weeks they say, sir, sign for me that I finished training. I have other things I'm doing. I don't know if you understand the point. They are not even ready to do the training.
The knowledge.
They're not even ready to take the knowledge. You go to our schools. I have always said this. Why is it that the uneducated in this country are ruling the so-called educated? Those without certificates are ruling those with certificates. It's just simply the fact that when you go to our classes, you wouldn't see half, even 3/4 of the students sitting there. But at the end of the day, the school forces you by one structure or the other to graduate everybody. I hope you understand me now. Now, these people are carrying certificates with the name that they have been trained. So when you now wonder why is it that we have white men doing the work and our people are not doing the work, if you give majority of our people that work will fail. I'm sorry. If you give him that work will fail. Because even most times, if the Oyibo man will be doing the job, he will be afraid. He will only do according to the way his paymasters are. But our own people will do it, look at you in the eyes and tell you there's nothing you can do. After delivering a bad job, ask the governors, ask the commissioners, they will tell you. People blow so many grammars. But when you give them the job,
so what do you think we can do to be among the first 70 in ranking and in...
We should do what the Chinese did, the Vietnamese did. We have, IBB brought out a program, National Orientation Agency. The essence of the orientation agency was to work on the psychic of the people. Are you aware of that?
Yes.
Now, in China and Vietnam, what they did was they put speakers on the road. They sort of, let me use the word, they brainwashed the people. At every moment, anywhere you were going to, you were hearing that, you know, you believe in yourself, you can do this, you get that motivation. So if you work in a bank, I worked in a bank briefly, State Trust Bank, that is Eco Bank. There was something I learned from that bank. And that's one thing I think every banker has. Every banker believes he can walk through this wall. It doesn't matter the profession. He believes he can walk through this wall. That's why you see when bankers are walk around, you see their chest is always up, their face is, they never put their face down. Because they believe they can pierce through. Now, if you put that in the mind of every Nigerian, through the orientation, you understand, it's easy. And you need to make sure that whoever is anchoring the orientation must be a face the people can do what? Trust.
For Nigeria to climb up to the ranking of where other nations are, let's do a review of what those who sit atop Africa, what they do. Mauritius is #1 on the ease of doing business in Africa. Rwanda is also following closely. In Rwanda, it takes 6 hours to register a business. You can sit in the morning, then in the evening you have a business registered, fully registered. So Which means this means that the enforcers, the regulators know what it means to set up a business. They're not just there to do their work because they're enforcers or they're regulators. They are there to make businesses thrive. So they ease off the bottlenecks that makes it easy, that makes it lethargic for people to want to do business. They make it attractive for you to want to register a business because it will reduce the time that you spend to register the business. It will also save you the cost. In CSC, you do a name search, then you do a newspaper publication for 28 days. That time is too long for people to announce on newspaper. Why not shorten the length of time? Also, infrastructure, like has been mentioned earlier and we echoed, infrastructure remains key. The major infrastructure, transport and power. Transport by way of rail, because if we are major producers in agriculture, the best way we can transport is through rail, and reducing all the bottlenecks on the road by way of accidents and by way of extortion. So the regulators and enforcers, they have big roles.
Simply, what I have to say is that it still boils down to the mindset that a lot of us have talked about. A lot of people have mentioned mindset. The mindset that we have in this country is outrageous. A lot of people have dubious mind. They just want to collect. But if you can be selfless in some of the things we do, let's also go out there and not just come here all the time for the hangout. Go out and at every point in time, wherever you meet someone, in the bus, on your way, let's transmit these things to them. Let's make our world better. Anyone you meet, when you tell someone something very beautiful about a business, about something, I think information is key. The person gets better and the person transforms another person. So prior to this time, we think it's just all about maybe the government has to do this and do that. But please and please, it has to do with our mind. Let's change our mind and let's work on everyone that we meet. Changing the mindset of everyone that we meet. Before the government comes in, individually, make impacts everywhere you go. Try to talk to the next person close to you. Reorient their minds. Let them also unlearn the things that they have learned over time. Let new information come to them.
We have already taken a look at all the factors. The mindset. What do we do about the mindset? How do we change the orientation about the things that are happening around us? If we blame the government, are we free from the blame? We talked about people getting trained to be able to access some loans. Yeah, they don't want to be trained, but they want the loan. Today in agriculture, we have those who call political farmers. They get the money, and the real farmers don't see the money. And things keep dwindling. It's a very terrible situation. If only our mindset will be changed. Our mindset in good. That mindset is also a statement that has to do with our own interpretation. Because sometimes the mindset is created by the environment. The mindset is created by the government. The mindset is created by the educational system. I worked in a university where we produced a first class in English that could not speak English. That's the situation we find ourselves. I've gone as head of interview panel in a bank, and one of them could not define banking. That's the kind of situation we have seen ourselves. What's the way forward? There must be a reorientation of our values. We must understand where we are coming from, as I always say, so that we know where we are going to. Thank you.
I know that there is no way a government will be able to fight corruption successfully in public procurement without constituting what we call the National Council on Public Procurement. This is the fulcrum of due process And the avoidance of establishment of the National Council on Public Procurement is something that negates the claim of fighting corruption in Nigeria. And if Nigeria must move forward, if Nigeria must progress, we must fall back to the recommendation of the Country Procurement Assessment Report of the year 2000 that was more or less supported by the World Bank and the international donor agencies. And it was on the strength of that it was found out that in Nigeria, the expense of 1 naira of public fund, that 60 kobo out of every 1 naira expended was frittered away in corruption. So the maximum value that was gotten from expenditure of 1 naira was only 40 kobo. That means 40% efficiency. And that was not acceptable. And that was why World Bank recommended that the only condition they will use to come in to relate with Nigeria under any guise would be that Nigeria must enthrone Public Procurement Act. And that is the due process in the public space. But since 1999 all through to this present day, the National Council on Public Procurement has not yet been established. Inasmuch as the Public Procurement Act was enacted 2007. But the National Council that is supposed to be the driver of that Public Procurement Act is not yet inaugurated. So we are asking the government that this is a contradiction of claim. If the government is saying that they are fighting corruption, then what is holding the inauguration of the National Council on Public Procurement? And this is at the national level. At the state level as well, the State Council of Public Procurement should also be enacted. And then the process of selecting whoever could be the Director General of the Public Procurement Agency or the Bureau of Public Procurement, as the case may be, must go through the due process recommended by the Act. And not by going to handpick somebody and putting that person there, so that the person will always be doing the bidding of he who has planted him there. So Nigeria is still practicing a pseudo concept of fight against corruption. That is a lip service approach to fight against corruption. And if we must get things right, there must be an institutional compliance to doing things right in Nigeria. But for now, it is not yet in picture. And we are calling the government and the well-meaning individuals in Nigeria that if we fail to give the right bite to these things, time will come when generations will come, we curse the day we were born. But we pray that we will not degenerate to that level. That is the essence of the gathering of professionals.
It's been very wonderful, and we've been all, I think we have exhausted everything. I want to subscribe to the submission that it's a mindset issue. But I think just we cannot. The mind is only configured on the basis of the information it receives, and that is why it's very important that we begin to receive the right information. We got to this point because of the information that was fed to us, and so we can, I think, let our information handlers reprogram the information that it should come to us now, and feed us enough with that information. It took us such a long time to get to this point, and so it's going to take us, it is not something that is going to be done by a singular government, a singular administration to take us out of this. Thank God for late Dora Akunyili, who was trying to do something about the good people, great nation. She felt that as information minister, it was important to change our mindset by rejigging our psyche. But after that, I think we have had people who come to want to tell us that we have moved up the ladder when we are seeing very clearly that we are still down there. And so it starts with that. I would really appreciate it if we can have such situation as we have as we had in Vietnam, as we had in China, where people where they went to commercial places to let people know this is what the new orientation is, and it's very, very important, so that we don't begin to have people who, despite good government policies, in fact the truth is that even if we begin to have electricity 24 hours, with the mindset we are still going to sabotage the system. We will sabotage the policy, and that's exactly what is happening. And so when people open businesses and they begin to think, okay, 3 things come to mind. Can I make this money as quick as possible? 2, oh, thank God I am off this very worrisome and quarrelsome boss. 3, oh, it's just wonderful. I am going to stay on this. I will make it in a very short time and then I leave. If we can leave that realm and we begin to operate with the right information, I think it's a mindset issue. And that is what Periscope Hangout is trying to address. So that from what we have now, we push it forth. And after pushing it forth, let each one of us become the extension of the current submission. And then we push it and let everybody get it. Thank you very much.
Thank you.